everybody, welcome back to an episode of The Why. I'm your host, Dylan Mullins, presented by All American Roof Pros and All American Heart Studio. Sitting down with somebody I can definitely call a friend, Mr. Bill Lewis, my little table mate in BNI. We're super excited to have you on the episode today, Bill.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
Yeah, man. Give us your elevator pitch. Tell me about yourself, man.
Background, I'm born and raised in Norwalk. I've got 5 kids, 3 St. Bernards, slobber, and a whole lot of...
No kidding, man.
and, pet hair, dander is the story of my life.
Yeah.
But got 12 grandkids.
12 grandkids.
12 grandkids.
There's no way in hell you look old enough. I mean, 5 kids.
I appreciate that.
You look seasoned enough for 5 kids.
Yeah.
Like,
This started when I was about 20.
No kidding.
No,
I was gonna say. Some guys are that way, man.
Yeah. 12 grandkids, range in age from 17 down to 1.
No kidding, man.
Yep. So
you guys are blessed, man.
They're a highlight.
Yeah.
Every night going out watching baseball, softball, cheerleading, art shows, and everything else. So
that's super cool. All the kids live close to home?
Pretty much, yes.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
That's cool. I think it's a goal as a parent. I mean, you want to see your kids go out and blossom, right? But like also at the same time, like you still want them to be close to home, you know?
You want them to succeed in what they want to be in.
Yes.
Because so many people nowadays have said, I played, I was Al Bundy, 4 touchdowns in a game.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So you need to be a football player. No, maybe the best thing that they could do is play the violin.
Yeah.
But they want to be the best violin player. You know what I mean? Let them take their own path.
Think about that, man. Like, so Yo-Yo Ma, he's that big cellist. That's what came to my head when I said that. Had his parents been dead set on him being a freaking baseball player, we would not have that guy.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think that's a hot topic in my opinion. I was actually just talking to a customer today about travel ball, and my wife and I, obviously we have our 1-month-old. She's big in the horse industry, like massive. She's a rock star. I need to get her on the podcast. We still can't force her to do that.
Right. Yeah.
Honestly, all you'll do is get resentment, if nothing else. Like
push
she
back,
has to
else,
want it.
Yep.
And that's a good point, though, man, because I think a lot of parents don't look at it from that way. Don't get me wrong, man. Like, if I have a son, I want him to play football. I want him to wrestle. I want all that stuff. But I can't want it for them.
Right. You can't force your kid to live what you wanted to be growing up.
Yes.
Because everybody's different. Everybody's different. They're going to blaze their own path.
Yes.
And let them blaze that path and be the best that they can be in their chosen field.
Yeah.
To their ability.
So let me ask you this, man. Like, have you always had this mindset, or like, did you like? Because obviously we evolve as parents. I look back on my childhood. My parents had me when they were really young. They were both 20 when they had me, and like they grew up with me, right? In all actuality, I look at them 30 now, and like we had our first kid. Like I'd like to think I'm pretty grown for the most part. Like I got my shit figured out.
I get it.
But so let me ask you this, because I'm still going to grow as a parent, like as a dad,
absolutely.
Was that always your mindset, or did you want it for your kids too much at any point? Like, did you have to take a step back?
My kids, oldest and youngest are boys, and 3 girls in the middle.
Okay.
And had all of them in baseball, travel softball, travel baseball, everything else, and went to every game, no matter what. I mean, I was always there, that kind of thing, and I realized later on that some of the things that I was doing was more of a detriment.
Yeah.
I mean, after the fact, obviously, because now I can look back and see what other people are doing, pushing their kids to do things that they wanted in their eyes.
Yeah.
Not in little Johnny or little Jane's eyes.
Well, and let's run it back to business too, right? Like I can't will something onto my employee. I can see something in them that they don't see in themselves. I was just thinking about this as a Facebook post, and I'll probably post after this interview. But yeah, I came at it this way, and I'm sure somebody has said it, and we've talked about this.
Sure.
Everything comes back to Napoleon Hill. Anyway,
exactly. Yes, 100%.
But Good leaders see good things in good people. Great leaders see things that people don't see in themselves. And I think as a parent, like you want to do that, but also at the same time, like you have to be a good enough leader of your household. And as men, like I come back to the biblical perspective on a lot of things, man. And
Sure.
as men, we have an obligation to lead. If you are the man of your household, I don't care what you want to say. Like that's just how we're wired. So I think a lot of times too, though, we can overstep that though, and then will that onto our kids rather than trying to guide them into something, right?
Very
Where I
true.
just want to strong arm them into being this baseball player, or I want to strong arm them into being
Hmm.
this violinist. I mean, you can even go down that path. How many
Exactly.
how many folks have you seen that? Like that's kind of a stereotype for some cultures, but like it happens.
It does happen. It happens all too much.
Yes.
Everywhere you look, almost every city in the United States, I'm going to say that as a generality,
Yes.
you're going to have someone that, I got cut from the high school baseball team. So guess what? But I know I was better than that.
Yes.
You know, my firstborn is going to be the best baseball player ever. And, you know,
But yeah,
you,
I know, and that's a good point though, man. Because I think too, I guess there's two ends of the spectrum. Because the guys, I was one of those guys that kind of just fell out in the middle. Like I wasn't superstar, but I was good enough to be there,
sure.
right?
Yeah.
Like I was okay. Um, but I think that it's a lot of times the guys who are on those ends of the spectrum. Because I think there are a lot of guys too that were the superstar, and that's their entire identity,
Hmm.
right? How many guys have we talked to? We talked to a lot of people.
Oh, yeah. All the time.
How many guys have we talked to that I was a all-star baseball player. We'll just stay on that topic, right? I was an all-star pitcher. I was an all-state pitcher. It's like, bro, you're 40.
Yeah.
You were.
Yeah.
Like you were. Let's be clear here.
Yeah.
You were. And those folks also at the same time are like, my boy's got to play baseball. Like, but does he?
Yeah.
Like, how much are you going to rob from him of his true talents? Because, like you said, maybe he is just a painter.
Yeah.
And a phenomenal one. Like
Yeah.
you're gonna squander that from him?
What's the odds of making it?
Oh man.
Forget it.
Yes.
Less than 1%.
How old are your kids?
Let me see. Kevin is
Like, what's the age ranges? I guess is the biggest thing.
37.
Okay, so your oldest is
Down
37.
to Cody is 27.
Okay, so
Yeah.
cool. So I'm assuming travel ball wasn't as big as like for your firstborn. It probably wasn't quite as big as it was getting for your
yeah.
last.
Oh yeah.
Right? Because nowadays, like you are not even making little league teams if you're not playing travel ball, right?
Exactly.
Like, that's the whole mentality.
Exactly.
And I think that it's one, knowing it from a business aspect, just with my business acumen, like it's a business thing.
Yeah.
And granted, I know they're not getting rich off of it, but there's some money involved.
Oh, there's a lot of money
Right?
involved in that.
We're from the Norwalk or from the Sandusky area. Like, look at the freaking sports complex that Cedar Point put in, and they're a multi-billion-dollar corporation. They're not stupid. They were getting their nut in on that, right? Like they're gonna get theirs. So I think part of it too is like the keeping up with the Joneses. Like, oh, Bobby's son's playing baseball. Junior needs to play baseball. It's like, but does he?
You're right.
But does he? Like you said. So that's where I was going with that. The odds of making the league, right? Let's just talk about it from a baseball perspective. I don't know what it is. Maybe I need to get like someone in here to do a fast typing when we're talking about topics like this. But if I remember correctly, the last time I read it, it's like recruited. You didn't want a one sport athlete. You wanted a kid that was well rounded.
Mm-hmm.
And you hear, I know you're a big Ohio State guy. You hear Ryan Day talk about it all the time. They don't want a kid that's focused on football.
Right.
They want a kid that's involved in the community, that's going to be a Buckeye. Like there's a different mentality with top level programs. So if you really think that your kid is a next level kid, why are you robbing them from everything they can become by just pigeonholing them into this identity?
Very true. I think it's I hate to say it, and a lot of people are going to get mad at me for saying this, and I apologize in
I
advance.
don't care. No
But
apologies
it's
here.
going to be it's detrimental
Yeah,
to a lot of the kids' psyche,
it's nuclear.
because
Yeah.
once they get to where the recruiting starts and everything
And they're
else
not
right
getting
down the
letters.
line, and they're not getting any letters, and they've spent their entire life from their time they were 5 until they're 18 now, getting ready to get out of high school, looking for that D1 scholarship, and
Yeah,
not there.
no. And you've taken it upon yourself to place your child's entire identity in this one thing.
That brings the whole family into these things on weekends now.
Yes.
Because,
What about your other kids?
oh yeah, you're starting, a lot of these tournaments start on a Friday, playing 2 or 3 games, then you're there first thing in the morning on Saturday until
God knows what.
dark.
Yeah, if
And
you're
a lot of
playing,
them
if you're
play under
playing
the
good,
lights.
you're playing all night, right?
Yeah, and then they play again on Sunday.
Yeah.
So your entire summer is involved in this. And yeah, it's very hard for a lot of kids. It's a good way for them to learn teamwork.
100%. I think that all kids should be involved in sports.
Yes.
To some degree.
Yes. But so many parents are forcing their kids to do the travel. I don't think that's the right thing.
Well, I think a lot of times too, and this could be just a generality, and I'm not trying to get anybody to take this the wrong way, but also too, what we have to remember is a lot of times in those situations, there's a lot of toxicity with inside the culture within those organizations.
Absolutely.
And I'm not saying there's not good ones out there. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying from my outside looking in perspective, you hear it all the time. Well, my son's as good at, like, all this crap that gets floating around, and these kids are picking it up. They're magnets, man. They are literal magnets. They are grabbing onto everything everyone says, and we're not looking at it that way. On top of that, let's go back to the topic of how it affects the family. What's it cost today? What's the statistic to have a kid? Is it $250,000
at least
from 1 to 18?
Oh yeah.
And that's probably on the low end. That's not even if you're like not like superstar parent, right?
Yeah.
That's just a generality. Now we throw in something that's costing, because all the fees and stuff. Let's say it's $5,000. That's great. Now you got time off of work. Now you've got the meals and travel to get there. Now you've got your wife's time off work. Like, there's all these other factors that come in. You're probably talking 15, 20 grand a year easily.
Hotels and everything else. Let's say
in your entire summer, man.
For instance, they make it on a team, and they make it to the Little League World Series.
Yeah.
That's
which is super cool. Which is super cool, man. Like, that's cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I used to work with a guy in Wellington that his name's in the record books at the Little League World Series.
No kidding.
Mm-hmm.
That's super cool.
Yeah, 28 hits in the series.
No kidding.
Yeah, that was the most. And he was on a fast track to make it to league and everything else.
That's what everyone thought, right?
Yeah.
Did he peak too early? Let me ask you that.
Must have.
Because he was working with you in Wellington. And I'm not saying that there's not a lot of guys who made it to the league and now they're working everyday jobs. But it doesn't sound to me like this story. That's the other thing too, man. Look at Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Got cut on his freshman year basketball team. If your kid's really good and they're 10, like, let's get some perspective here. They may be just a little bit ahead of the curve. There's other factors that come into it. And I'm not saying there wasn't. I think Bryce Harper was like good from like 6 or something.
Well,
you know what I mean? Like, there's those freaks.
You get an anomaly here and there.
Yeah, but for the most part, like, it's not the delta in between like a kid that's gonna make it to the majors and a kid that's gonna. And this is for all sports: football, basketball, baseball, all of them. Golf, tennis, whatever.
Absolutely.
I mean, Tiger was a different breed. I literally was watching an interview about him when he was 6. They were doing an interview, and it wasn't like Earl was big. You know what I mean? Like, I think he was a golf pro at best, right? But like, he wasn't Tiger. We're not talking about Charlie and Tiger today. We're talking about a general dude, and they're interviewing this kid at 6. They're in those people, and I'm not to say that your kid's not one of those people. I really hope and pray that your kid becomes Tiger Woods of something.
Yeah, they need to develop their own identity.
Yes. On their
To
own.
have that blossom.
On their own.
Yes. And once they get that ID,
Yeah.
then you help that blossom.
Yes.
You water that, you fertilize that, then you go
You can feed
forward.
that. Yeah, you can feed that, but you can't water a dead plant.
Right.
If you kill, and sometimes it's the parent that kills it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And sometimes it's a coach. I think we all probably have a scenario in our life where it was a coach.
Travel baseball. Yes.
Where it was a coach. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times they weren't up to par. Like, that comes back to being a good leader. And I would ask you to reflect on yourself. Like, you're impressionable. You are literally on the most impressionable group of individuals.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're working on something right now where we're trying to get inside the schools and change it from the top. Like, go to the teachers first before we go try to change the kids. And I think that too oftentimes when we are in a leadership role within children, we forget that we're leading them.
Yeah.
We want to be dictators, not leaders.
Right.
And they're two entirely different things.
Right.
You
want to lead from the front. You don't want to lead, push.
Always lead from the front, man. I've said it before. I'll scrub toilets. If that's the best job for me around here, if I'm not the CEO anymore or president or whatever title you want to put behind my name, I'll be the chief toilet scrubber, chief CTO.
It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? You still, it has to be done.
Yes. It's whatever has to be done.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's good, man.
I've got jobs. I've got to go and crawl spaces. I've got to go in attics.
Do what you got to do. Do what you got to do.
Because I've got to get it done. It's got to get done.
No, that's good, man. That leads into our next topic. I want to talk about how you started the business. Like, I have never got the full story on Firelands Fresh Air. So let's start back though. Like, what were you doing before?
Robotics engineer.
Okay.
Yep. I worked in the factories, that kind of thing. Automotive, typically. Automotive is like a giant sine wave. Building, working 7 days a week, or you're laid off.
Yeah, yeah, no,
going right back into. I mean, it was like that for years.
Cyclical.
30 years into it. Yeah, terrible.
Good when times are good, bad when times are bad. Right.
Mm-hmm. So I was sitting there with my son Cody, and he was also working in maintenance, that kind of thing, and he's like, "What can we do to get out of this rat race?"
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we started looking around and, how about pressure washing? No, there's too many of them.
There's a ton of them, man.
How about paint? There's too many. Yeah, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
How about this? How about that? How about this? And then he brought his kids over, and one of them just started just sneezing and everything else. When they went back outside, they were fine. And I didn't realize it at the time, but it was the air quality inside the house.
Yeah.
So we started doing some research on it, and we bought a cheap system, and it got us in the door.
Got you started, yeah. Got the wheels turning.
We found out that wasn't a very good purchase, and then we moved forward. And I told my son, and my son Kevin come down from Michigan after about a year and worked full time with us. And said, I think I could do this for about 3 years before my knees are going to be absolutely tore up, And so we just started moving on, and then moving up, and then I was still working full time. Saturdays and Sundays, we were, that was our time to do 2, 3, 4 jobs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then a couple times after work, tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Guess what? In cream since?" Days have been good. Some days have been not so.
Yeah.
But you know what? I look back with no regrets.
Of course. You can't.
You know what I mean?
Everything happens for a reason, man.
and then
Everything.
so Kevin come on full time shortly after that, and then another 2 years, Cody ended up leaving his job full time. Since then, we got two more guys working for us.
Nice.
We've expanded our services. Not only I'm one of about 3,000 in the world with air systems cleaning specialist, certified ventilation inspector, ventilation system mold remediator in the world.
That's cool.
With the certifications
Yeah.
from NADCA, which is National Air Duct Cleaning Association. And recently, just went down and got certified by the National Comfort Institute.
Okay.
For duct system optimization. What is that? Go into a house. This room is freezing cold with the air conditioning running.
Yeah.
In my bedroom over on the other end or upstairs, I can't get it below 75, below 80. That's where I come in.
Yeah.
Balance the system to make it correctly.
Cool.
That way it's comfort throughout the entire home.
No, that's awesome, man. So you got 5 employees now?
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome, man. Did your wife work in the business?
No.
Okay. I don't know if she did some billing or something or what was going on. One of the coolest moments for me in business, man, I own this place with my dad and my brother. We do a team retreat every year. And we talk about our favorite part about working here, something along those lines. And my dad said, the fact that I get to come to work with my boys every day.
Exactly.
That's part of business.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, because now all 4, like my little brother who's in here doing the recording, he's the 4th. There's all 4 of us here in the business.
Oh, yeah.
Today.
Can't beat that.
Literally, all 4 of my dad's boys. My little sister, she's a teacher in Texas. She might come here and work one day. I don't know. But, all 4 of his boys work here. I mean, literally, man, like, and that's the thing. So I want to ask you, like, how's it been working with family? Because I know all the trials, man. I know all the struggles. I tell people all the time, it's not easy, and I would recommend most folks don't do it, but it's worth it.
It's worth it, because they can see exactly where we're going and have a stake.
Yeah, cast the vision, right?
Mm-hmm. And by bringing someone else on, they're not in the inner workings of everything. So they are a little slow to react and be able to catch on to the vision, if you will. We have a set standard that we go by. If it's clean, you clean it again.
Yeah.
Bottom line, it's going to be
what you're there to do.
Perfect.
Yep.
I mean, it's just that simple. And take it one day at a time. And working with family, yeah, you can have a little bit more spirited talks.
Oh, yeah.
But at the end of the day, hey, pass me mashed potatoes over there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I get it, man. Because, like, so we do a weird interview process, but our final interview is a leadership interview. And my parents are divorced. They work in my office. Long known story.
Yeah.
But she'll ask folks, she's like, "You easily offended?" That's one of the questions we ask around here. We have 20 employees now. And most folks will say no. And she explains it. She's like, well, it doesn't happen very often. It happened a lot in the beginning. Sure. I'm sure you know that too.
Oh, yeah.
But we butt heads a lot. And we used to butt heads a lot more. We don't butt heads very much anymore. But even sometimes you'll say something because it's dad or brother. It's my brother. It's my dad. And you'll say something that you don't mean to come off the way that it does, but you just got rubbed the wrong way that day. And I would never do that to an employee. Full disclosure, like I am probably one of the easiest guys to work with. I do tell folks if I have to have a hard conversation with you, you're not going to like what I have to say. But for the most part, when I need to have a conversation with you, it's very mild-mannered. Like I don't need to scream and yell. I got all that out of my system when I was in my 20s. I'm in my 30s now. I'm good.
Oh, yeah. So, 100%.
So, what's been the biggest challenge for you coming into your leadership? So it doesn't sound like, were you a leader much before?
No.
I would say not like you were just kind of a cog in the wheel, man. You
Yeah.
know?
I was just part of the machine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And um, books, reading books, right down the line. You know, all the leadership trainings, everything else, right down. You know, uh,
What's been the biggest challenge for you though with that?
biggest challenge is cold calling.
Yeah.
Cold calling.
You guys knock a lot of doors?
And it's not really something that we do.
Cold calling businesses?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Believe this or not, I'm in the roofing business, right? Everybody knows
Sure.
door knocking is huge. And all my guys door knock.
Oh, I know.
I've never knocked a door in my life.
Really?
Haven't had to. Great marketer. Never needed to. And I'm not tooting my own horn. I'm just a really good marketer. I can get leads. I never even it never even crossed my mind when I started the business. I have an unorthodox way of getting into business, similar to you. My dad was in the trade, so like we were on the production side. So like we're a production-minded company by default. So when I've had to learn how to sell, like mind you, so I started a business when I was in my early, well, it would have been 19, full service remodeling. I learned how to sell from necessity. I didn't learn how to sell because someone taught me how to sell. I learned how to sell because it had to get done. And I just have a natural gift. Like I'm not, once again, not tooting my horn. I'm just a natural marketer, and I'm a natural, like, my mom tells a story. I was selling freaking tickets to E10 to my cousins when I was like 4.
Uh-huh.
Like they were all getting their candy and stuff, and I was like gonna, make them pay me in candy or whatever at grandma's house. Like I've just always been that mindset. Like I was always trying to, like I remember one time I got in trouble. I used to go buy bubble gum in bulk. This was like in 2nd grade. So I'd buy these tubs of bubble gum, and I would go on the playground and I'd sell the bubble gum for $0.25. And I would come home with like pockets of quarters. And I don't remember. I think the principal ended up catching me or something. But like I've just always had that inclination to be that person. But at 19 years old, bro, it's difficult. Like I had no seasoning on my face. Like I know what to look for now. Like I understand the entire sales process. I'm a very technical person. Most folks don't think that because I'm like, I throw ideas at you. Like if we're in a room together, I'm like, yeah, idea.
Mm-hmm.
But like I'm very technical. I want to know the inner workings of everything and how it works from start to finish. It's just
absolutely
the process is. I love the process. But in the beginning, man, like I had no process. I had no rhythm. I literally couldn't even grow. I had a half-ass goatee. Like I looked like I probably had gotten the mange. And I'm going to these people's houses and trying to sell them, $20,000, $30,000 remodels and stuff. And like I just learned how to sell from a point of necessity. Like it was feast or famine, right? Like
sure.
And I didn't know how to estimate. That first business failed dramatically.
Well, yeah.
But it was the best college I could ever got. The best college
Hard knocks is always the best.
Yes. And it sounds like you're very educated.
Yeah.
As far as like the technical side of it, right?
Yeah.
But there's nothing like a good old fashioned ass whooping in business.
Oh.
To teach you something.
I could tell you so many times that I've lost money on jobs.
Yeah.
And big commercial jobs, or not made near what I could have.
Yep.
That's the real kick in the teeth.
But I think the thing that separates good from great in business is how you handle that.
Oh yeah.
Because good says it's the customer's fault. Good says it's this thing that happened. Great takes ownership. Great says, you know what, that happened. We're going to eat it.
Yeah.
I wrote a check for a ceiling one time, on a very ornate ceiling. It's more than I made like in my 20s, man. Like, but I wrote the check. Like it is what it is.
Yeah.
You just do it because you just make it right.
Yeah. You got to take ownership.
You screwed up.
Yeah.
And granted, I wasn't there when the job happened. I wasn't there when the leak happened, but it happened. And instead of me pushing it on my guys and saying, your fault, I said, it's my fault. I should have trained you better. It is what it is.
Yeah.
And we learn from it.
Yeah, learn from it. That's the main thing.
That's the thing I tell my people. If
learn from it. Tomorrow's another day.
If I have to have the same conversation twice, the second one isn't going to be as nice.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah. It's good stuff though, man. Business is not for everyone.
No, it's a hard thing I'm not a business person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So everything that I'm learning, I'll tell you what, I could give you about 30 different ways to fail,
Yeah.
on everything.
Yeah.
But main thing is, I just kept putting one foot in front of the other. You know what I mean? Figure that, I'm not pushing daisies, so I've got another chance.
Yeah. Yeah. God woke me up this morning. I'm good.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what he throws at me. I'm good.
Yeah. I'm going to make it through the day.
Yeah.
We're going to figure it out.
Maybe this is something you can relate to. This is for me at the beginning of every single year that I've done business, because I'm sure you guys probably have a slower season, right?
Oh, yeah.
What is it, around the holidays typically?
Thanksgiving till about mid-February.
Okay. Yeah. About what ours is. I mean, we'll still do a lot of installs. But for the most part for us, it's that same type of thing. We'll have a lot of backlog, I should say, and we'll keep installing into January. We've got a good system now. Anyways, every year around the first the 1st of February, typically, I feel like God throws something at me that goes, "Are you sure you want to keep doing this?" You feel that way a little bit?
Oh, I'm telling you, I felt that way about a month ago, 2 months ago, because I'm talking slow.
Yeah.
I mean, this was like the extended slow. This is, normally in the 6 years we've been in business, Thanksgiving to middle of February, then it starts picking up.
Yeah, slowly but surely.
This year, I mean, it's wow.
Yeah.
We're finally, seeing light at the end of the tunnel.
It's hard though,
year.
Man.
Yeah, it's this year has been pretty hard.
Yeah.
In our business too, we're not a disaster type company.
Yeah.
We're more of a want.
Yeah, it's a luxury item. It's a luxury item. I mean, if to a degree we are too. We used to be more of that way. We transitioned to more of the disaster, if you will, like the the calamity type stuff. But it's yeah, man, just figuring out the right groove, right? Like that's the hard part, or how you position yourself in the market. Like, how do you want to be seen? You know what I mean? Like,
yep. I want to be seen for Fireland's Fresh Air Service as not only the market leader, the expert in our field in the North Coast.
Yeah.
People don't realize that they can go to nadca.com and look up qualified individuals. We're the only ones between west side of Toledo,
Yep.
west side of Cleveland, that are certified by NADCA.
That's cool, man. And I love how like all in you went. Like I talk to business owners all the time. I unintentionally consult. I do. I just do. I have conversations with folks, and I'll talk to these guys that, man, I got 1 foot in this water, I got 1 foot in this water, and they're half in, half out. And I'm like, burn the damn ships.
Yep. Yeah, you need to.
Because if you're half-assed at two things, you're going to be half-assed at two things.
Right. And that's another thing that when we set this up, we thought, are we going to do this and everything else along with it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No. Let's become the master of one. Let us set the pace.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Get all the training, get to be the best, get to be the market leader in this, and then everything else will follow.
I love that. Because you have to hyper specialize. I tell guys that all the time. You ever seen this was the one I always use. You ever seen the damn tailgate of a truck that's got like 900 services on it? It says like, we specialize in, like, what do you specialize in besides freaking ADHD?
You specialize in bumper stickers.
Yes, like literally, man.
Yeah.
Like your lettering guy loves you because you have a new idea every freaking week.
Yep.
Because what do you specialize in? Like when we started this, we were a metal roofing company. That's all we did. And we became the largest residential metal roofing contractor in the state of Ohio. And then we're like, okay, now we can pivot.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Now we can add another vertical.
Yeah.
We got that down. We figured out how to do it better than anyone else. We literally like not to brag, but I think it's really cool when you can change a market. That is super cool. When you can change an entire market. Like we redefined how people install metal roofing in our area. And I think when you can do that, man, like it's super cool. And I think you guys are doing something similar because like I see, like I'm curious because like I see all the Facebook posts about like these guys that it sounds like when you guys first started because you don't want to completely knock those guys, right?
Sure.
Because everybody starts somewhere. Like I have to remind myself of that constantly, you know, because I'll do it. And I'm like,
yeah, I got a hammer. I've got a circular saw.
Yeah,
I can do it.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, because I'm a competitive mofo. Like that's mainly where that comes from. Where I'm like, nah, this is mine.
Yeah,
it's like when you give a dog a piece of meat, dude. Like this is mine. This is my meat. Like, you're not gonna touch it. But why? And this is from a question of curiosity. Why are typically those guys why do you say that those guys are scammers typically? Like when we're talking about those fellas,
because there's two to three different ways that they start their Facebook posts.
Okay.
I need blah 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 to fill up the truck. I just moved here from Indianapolis and I've got 9 years experience.
So those are just flat out like take your money and don't do anything.
Well, yeah. Most of those, and if you look at it, another way to see if it's a scam right off the top, 2 first names in their name.
Yeah, it's
you know what I mean?
Wild.
John Joe, that's his name. Oh, really? I don't want to be, but I'm going to be honest. There's research on it. Most of those are from out of Pakistan.
Yeah, no, it's generally folks from overseas. It's like when the Nigerian prince scheme was going around, you know, and you send me $500, you get 500,000. It's like, to a degree, though, like I feel like the market will sniff that stuff out.
Oh, now they are.
You know,
yeah.
But also too, it comes back to a little bit of Darwinism. Like if you're stupid enough to fall for that, like
there's quite a bit of people that fall for that.
It's not that I'm saying like that you're ignorant. I'm just saying that people should look a little bit deeper into what they're investing their money in.
Yeah, those are called bait and switch.
Yeah, 100%.
If they get into the house for $199, something they got off Valpak or something they got from Facebook Marketplace, that kind of thing, they'll get into the house and do the duct cleaning, that kind of thing. And then all of a sudden, I'm going to give you a bill for $1,800, Dylan.
Now, I have seen there was like a news story that ran recently about that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then they didn't even clean it or whatever.
Sure. Guy was up in the attic sleeping, playing on Facebook, and they had cameras up there.
Yeah, I did see that. So I get that. But also, too, like, I level it back, and I'm going to redact on myself if you were listening super intently on the episode, but like when Bill said that there was a lot of pressure washers out there, like I also argue with folks all the time, like there's a lot of everything in every field. Like you feel like the market's oversaturated in every field that you do. Like it's just a factor of business. Like until you figure out how to differentiate yourself, and it sounds like you guys have done a good job with that. But also too, like we have that in our industry, like where guys will come in and they'll pitch something on to get you in the door. I'll use the window business, for example. So I used to own a window franchise.
Sure.
And I won't name any names because I don't want any lawsuits, but like all these companies advertise for, it used to be like $149 window installation. Right? And then that's great. And we call it a loss leader for a reason. And then typically we want to flip you into something more. So we used to, I'll just rat on myself. We used to have a $179 window. It was a double hung, nice window. No insulation, no low E, no argon, whatever. And then we would flip you into a $400 window on the back end. Now, this was pre-COVID. Windows have gone up dramatically since then, so don't think that that's what windows should cost today. But that just happens. And,
sure.
And it's not a bad business model to a degree if you're transparent about it.
Well, the thing about it, and
it's not our business model. Like we're
right.
Here's the price. Like if you like it, great, right?
The way that sales goes, I'm already buying a window for $179. Seriously, Dylan, what's another $100?
Exactly.
you're telling me you can't spend another
$100 for that one window, right? And we multiply by 20, and now we're
Mhm.
talking about $2,000 or whatever, right?
right?
And don't get me wrong, I loved when I had that window
Sure.
franchise.
But that's how that
Yes,
gets sold.
It is. But also too, like I think you can do it without being shady,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
Without pulling the wool over folks' eyes and saying, because that's what you do. You give them your loss leader, and then you get in the door, and then you're like, well, I wouldn't install this in my freaking worst enemy's house, man.
Yeah.
I wouldn't clean these ducts with, I wouldn't do this cleaning special for my worst enemy's house. You really want this one. And like, then you're like contradicting yourself. You're literally having your marketing say one thing, and then you're coming in and saying, no. Like, then you sound stupid,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's cool, man. What gets you up in the morning?
What gets me up in the morning? Building a legacy.
What's that look like for you?
I can see, my son's taking over everything eventually, 100%, and then grandsons.
Cool, man.
If they want to go into it.
That's cool. Do you like what's that legacy piece deeper than that, right? Like deeper than just the business side though. Like what's the legacy look like deeper than the business?
It really feels good knowing that they have an opportunity if they want it. I'm not going to push it on any of them.
No.
Because that's just what we talked about a little bit ago.
100%. No such thing as coincidence, man.
Yeah. And but the main thing is the opportunity is there if they choose to follow that road.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. And that's I think the beauty of just America in general, like is a land of opportunity. But I think we have two obligations as parents, right? Especially in our exact situation here in America, we have two obligations as parents. And I come back to everything when I talk when I get introduced somewhere, whenever I'm talking to people, I want you to know who I am. My first thing is I want you to know that I'm a Christian. That's never that is 100% divulged. So I think that being my leader, our first obligation as parents is to get our kids into heaven. You have an obligation as a parent. Like the only person that it falls back on if it doesn't happen is you, because we are the ultimate leader for our kids, or at least we should be.
Sure.
And I'm talking about at a young age, right? Like we should be at least instilling good values and letting them know the gospel and just getting them introduced, right? Like we should at least lay out the path. Because if we never talk about it, like that is the ultimate injustice to our kids. But I think deeper than that, especially as business owners, but just people in general, our second obligation to our kids, our greatest obligation, is to make sure that our kids understand that it's not just bullshit when we say you can be anything you want.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Whatever you want to be don't be mediocre.
Be the best at it.
Strive, learn, continue to learn every single day.
Just get a little better.
Surround yourself with greatness.
Yes.
There's always a compliment, by having someone else that knows something that you do not.
Yes. That's a good thing. If you're the smartest person in the room, you need to leave.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I say that stuff constantly, man.
Mm-hmm.
Stop wanting to be the smartest person in the room.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the thing, man. Like we just have to instill that in our kids. Like you just have so much opportunity. You can be anything you want to be.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you know what? If you fall a little bit short of your goal, that's okay. And that's going to evolve too. I think as we go through seasons, we change as people. At one point in time, the best thing that you wanted to be, and it was great, was a robotics engineer. And I'm sure you did a damn good job with it, right?
Kind of, sort of.
You were there.
Yeah, I did enough to get by.
Yeah, you were still employed.
Yeah. But after I started the business, and my why had changed.
Yeah.
What am I doing, and why am I doing it, and how am I going to do it, and right down the line.
Yeah.
Am I going to be a mediocre slack, or am I going to be the leader out front and actually, hey, Dylan, man, this is, follow me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not going to push you there.
No, I don't push anybody.
You see what I'm saying? Big difference.
Yep. I have a weird rule. If you work for me, if you give me a 2 weeks notice, you get one. You get one. I'll pay you for 2, but you're already out the door.
Yeah.
Clean up your loose ends and get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
I'm not going to push anybody into anything. I don't push anybody into a job offer. I don't push anybody in, and that goes back to our beginning of our conversation.
Sure.
Don't push your damn kids into freaking playing a sport they don't want to play.
Yeah.
Now, there's another side of that. If they start something, make sure they finish that.
100%. Yeah. Yeah, that's
you got to be careful.
A bad thing going on nowadays.
Oh, my Lord, man.
Yeah.
At the end of my coaching career, man. Oh, Johnny doesn't like how you make him run. He can't wrestle anymore. What?
Yeah. Yeah.
We're halfway through the damn season. My dad would have beat my ass if I tried to freaking quit in the middle of the season, dude.
Oh, yeah. That was not acceptable.
No.
Not acceptable.
I don't know where we got so far off the freaking path that we let these kids control their freaking lives when they're 7.
Yeah.
Come on, man. He's 7. He should not be making his own decisions. You are 100% wrong. We won't get political, but holy crap, man. That just sparked a freaking core memory that I'm like, holy moly.
Yeah, that just absolutely drives me up the wall.
Oh, it grinds my freaking gears, man. If you start something, you finish it. If you start a job, you give them a 2 weeks notice. It comes back to all the things that go into being a good person in life, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And that's why sports are so crucial. But if they're handled incorrectly, that's how we got all these freaking quitters. Yeah. That's what they are.
But by the same token, on a day-to-day basis, a big majority of people are going to look back on their little league or travel softball or whatever and say, you know what? My boss isn't near as bad as what they were then. You know what I mean? And I made it through that.
Yes. It builds so much character. Yeah, it builds so much character. Because I've never had a boss, and granted, I haven't had a boss, and well, my wife's my boss. Other than her, I haven't had a boss in probably 5 years, right? A legitimate boss. But never did I have a boss that was as bad as my freaking wrestling coach or my football coach. Right?
Yeah. But did you make it through it?
Yeah.
Did you learn anything from it?
100%, man.
Yeah.
100%.
It's here.
Yes.
You got to have heart.
Yes.
If you don't have heart.
One of my favorite quotes I picked up in sports is hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. And I've said it a million times, dude. I am terrible at a lot of shit. I am terrible. I'm not a good business person. I'm not the best roofer. I'm not the best salesman. I'm not the best this. But I'll tell you what, you won't outwork me.
Yeah.
You will not outwork me.
Yeah.
And that's what makes the difference in a man. That's what makes the difference in a woman. That's what makes the difference in a person, right?
Yep.
Is if you have the no quit mentality, and granted, you got to have a little bit of self-awareness to know when you're just pushing the freaking buttons in the wrong direction, right? If you're pushing against the train, man, come on, you can maybe push a train, but you got to be in the right direction, right? Where the wheels want to spin. But at the same time, just the no quit, you won't outwork me, And I've been fortunate enough. I've had the opportunity to work with my family every day, and they have the same mentality. But at the same time of that, man, maybe this is something you relate to too. How has it been so I'm assuming it was just you and the boys in the beginning, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So that first employee, it has 2 things that I've found. It's a really hard decision to make because you're taking someone else's livelihood into your hands, right? And I still take that obligation into 20. But it's the same exact feeling as it was. It's not as bad anymore.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Because it's a drop in the bucket instead of pouring a cup. But also at the same time, what we found that was the hardest part is you guys probably worked really well together. You knew what each other was capable of because you've lived together your entire lives. You've been associated your entire lives. How hard has it been? Because what we do around here is a lot of times, because it is a lot of family, we'll expect us out of other people.
Exactly. And that is a very good point because my son Kevin and I, we would work together and we'd knock out a house in 3.5
Just
hours.
had a good groove.
Yeah, we just bam, bam, bam. You're doing this. I'm doing that. We're going. Then we're tag teaming all the registers, everything else right down the line. You're doing, you're putting away. I'm buttoning up, going over everything. So Cody and I, we do things a little bit different, but
Still
we
had a
got it
rhythm.
done.
Still had a rhythm.
Oh yeah, each person has their own way to go about things. But at the end of the day, we're following the protocol.
And trying to get to
Right.
the same goal.
Right. The end goal is 100%.
Yeah.
We right down the line, adding people that are outside, and the guys that we've got are great.
Yeah.
Great. I have zero reservation taking them to a multi-million-dollar house.
Yeah.
And saying, this is what we got. Have at it.
And shameless plug, they did my house. Not a multi-million-dollar house. But they did my house. They did a great job. We weren't even home.
Yeah.
You can use that as a commercial if you want.
I appreciate
I'll take my
that.
royalties.
But yeah,
anyways.
All the time. And that's a good thing to have, because knowing that trusting them.
Yeah.
They have likability, work ethic, and we ask them to do anything, and right down the line, bam, yeah. Consider it done.
But do you struggle because like that transition in between owner operator, because that's pretty much what the three of you were in the beginning, to now employee, where you guys don't shut it off, right? Well, we as entrepreneurs don't have an off. Like you shouldn't. Granted, I've gotten better the longer I've been in business. I've found ways to shut it off. My wife still gets on me a little bit, but for the most part, I try to be. One of my biggest mantras in life is just to be where my feet are. Like I just want to be present in the moment. When I'm with you right now, yeah, my phone might be ringing, whatever. I'm gonna be present as much as I can. Granted, if I see my wife's calling, and
sure,
there's opportunities to trump that. But for those guys, most folks, and this isn't a knock at anybody that works for either one of us. It's just it's fine. It's a good thing. They have an off. They have an off time.
Right.
They're there from 7 to 5.
Yep.
And they're out at 5. And they're showing back up at 7.
Yep.
Right. So how is that? Has that been difficult though? Learning that as a leader?
No, because my life growing up, young adulthood, all the way until I started this, I was 7 days a week, 12 hours a day when I was working.
Yeah.
So answering the phone 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, sometimes 10 o'clock at night. Yeah, Dylan, I'll be over there, blah, 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 whatever.
Yeah.
To me, it doesn't matter. It's just an extension of what I've been doing my whole life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, for you.
Yeah, for me. For my guys, Cody, same thing. He's
7 days a week, 12 hours a day.
Yep, a lot of times. You know what I mean?
Yep.
The other guys, they get off at 3 o'clock, 2, 3, 4 o'clock, whatever time they're done, and that's good because they need to be able to decompress. They need to be able
100%
to shut off, and because the next day that they come in, they can, bam, we're back at it again.
Yeah, well, and I don't need 20 of me, right?
Yeah,
I don't. Honestly,
but I need to be 20 times better than what I was yesterday.
100%.
You know what I mean?
100%.
And I try to make myself better every day.
Yes.
And that's the one big thing I try to do.
the room. How many times have you gone somewhere or listened to something, you get super hyped, and maybe this podcast does it for you, and I hope it does, but you get super hyped and you're like, man, I'm going to run through a freaking wall.
Oh, yeah.
And then you crash because the thermostat went back down.
Yep. That happens quite a bit with different leadership trainings.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
You're jazzed, man. You're like,
oh, yeah.
I'm going to freaking do this.
You know, listen to someone and they're just throwing daggers. You know, 500,000 people in a room and they're throwing daggers, and you feel like it's going right to you. Like, man, he's talking to me. You start. This is me, man. You know, like step into a Slim Jim. You know, like that, and then all of a sudden you come back to reality. A week later, and then you're like, maybe it wasn't. Yeah. You know what I mean? But outside of that, man, if we can just get it to where we just go 1 degree. I don't need to be that every day. Honestly, it would probably get exhausting if I was that. Right? Especially, it's kind of like working out, man. Like if I go to the gym and I go leg press 900 pounds, which I've done, I guess. But if I just do it one off, right, I'm going to be whipped. But if I go in and work that out every single day, I might not do 900 every day, but I can inch up to where I can consistently do from 600 to 700. Absolutely. Right? So if we look at it from that perspective and that lens, instead of just wearing ourselves out and just trying to freaking digest so much crap and drink through a fire hose and, sit from a straw. It goes back to the elephant. Yeah. Right? 1 bite at a time, baby. Yeah, that's what it's all about. 1 bite at a time. That's what it's all about. But good deal, man. Well, this has been a really good conversation. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, me too, man. I like to open up the last few minutes of the podcast. I stole this from one of my That's what his last name was. Okay. He's looking around after the meeting the other day. He goes, "You and I are the 2 oldest ones in here." I'm like, don't feel it, right? Seasoned. Yeah. Seasoned. Old is it's a term, man. Yeah. It's a mentality. Seasoned. Yeah. You get seasoned. I've got miles on the That's right. On the tires. Like a fine wine. That's right. You get seasoned. That's right. It's like an old 7.3 truck, man. It'll keep firing up. That's right. Just what it's all about. You just got to keep mileage. Moving. You just got wear and tear. It's funny, I was on a roof with an adjuster today, and he was 25, and I'm 30. And we're talking. He goes, I go, how old are you, man? He goes, 25. He goes, how old are you? I said, I'm 30. He goes, no way. I'm like, no. I felt like I was the same age as you, man. Like, I thought you were 30, but I feel 25 most days. So, like, it's a mentality. Yeah. It's a mentality. That's what it all is. And just keep it how you look at life through your lens. Yes. Yes. And it's all perspective. Life is literally perspective. Nothing happens by chance. Everything is not there's no such thing as coincidence. Yeah, well, and who was that? I can't remember who said that, but it was something that really stuck with me. And you can design a life any way that you want it. Yes. I forget who said that. That's Bill Lewis today. Yeah, it's me. But you can design your life. But you just have to design it, then live it. Yes. Designing that's only half the battle. Forward that's with half the battle. The action is what matters. Yes. The action is what matters. Absolutely. How many graveyards have I shoulda, coulda, and wouldas, right? Mm-hmm. Like that's I think the probably the biggest takeaway from this podcast. I think there's 2 of them as we kind of wrap things up here. One is, I think, to just be intentional with your kids and helping them find their strong suits. I think that was a really good topic to start off with. Yeah, absolutely. So many people need to hear that kind of thing. The other one is just be happy with you. Yeah. Just be happy with you. Yeah. Whatever life God gave you. Love yourself. Yes. Be right with you. It's amazing how much falls in line when you're just happy with what you are. Mm-hmm. Right? And I've said it many times, man, if you're happy flipping burgers at McDonald's,
I'm happy for you, man.
Yeah, be
There's
the
nothing
best
wrong with
burger
it.
flopper.
Yes,
You know
just
what I
be
mean?
the best damn one that there is.
That's all it is.
Get the McFlip award or whatever they
Yeah,
call it, right?
yeah.
I'll take my royalties, McDonald's, if you don't have that yet.
Yeah.
But cool, man. Well, I really do appreciate the conversation, genuinely, man. I appreciate our friendship, and
Likewise, so do I.
yeah, and it's been super good knowing you. Y'all, if we'll drop Bill's socials down in the link below, and check him out. Check out his business, Firelands Fresh Air. If you're around the area, man, like genuinely, you guys know that Tori and I just had little Lainey. We brought her home. She's doing fantastic for anybody that's following along. And before we had her, we had Bill out and cleaned our ducks, and it's just such peace of mind. Like I've told everybody, being able to bring her home and know that we had a safe environment for her little lungs. And so it's definitely something to check out. I don't typically like plugging people on here, but once again, that's something that's close to my heart, and I think that he shared it with his story on how he got his business started. So I think it's something that's super important to talk about. So other than that, we want to thank y'all for listening in. I think that if you didn't get something out of this episode, as I've said on every episode, that's your fault. Go back and listen to the damn thing again, because there's something in here that every single person can take away for their own life to just help to increase and check that box and just make them 1% better every day. So if as you're going through your day, I just want you to continue to ask yourself, what's your why?